Well, it means that you have some things that you have trouble trying to do, but sometimes with disabilities, you also get some advantages that, like, for example, a person who's in a wheelchair might have a stronger upper body, maybe, but that's not necessarily the case, but, that is pretty much what it is to me.
Disability means to me that it's sometimes hard for you to do things in different ways, but also it sometimes can help you do things in different ways. Temple Grandin is a really great example. She doesn't have the best social skills and a lot of other stuff, but because of her disability, she has great visualization skills, and she's very, I don't know how to exactly explain it, empathic to animals. She's really able to figure out what they're thinking because she thinks in kind of the same way. And she's made really great cattle wrangling devices that even PETA is just giving an A+ to. So that's really good.
Disability means people with some things that other people see wrong, but they are truly beautiful inside.
Aliens!
Dude, are you sleeping?
Well, hey, Jason, I guess I must have dozed off there for a moment. What are you doing here, and who are these people?
You are at work, and they are here to watch the video, knowing your options. College, independence, and beyond.
Oh, right. I was just having this nightmare that I graduated from high school and was trying to plan out my future.
That doesn't sound too scary.
I know, but all I could think about was if I go to college, none of the professors will know anything about me. Like how I had a math teacher who used to give me extra time on tests. And then what type of college do I even go to? And which one? And
Whoa, slow down. I think I know someone who can help answer those questions. Just watch this video with Andrea. At the end, we'll talk about some of the skills you've learned.
We're going to be talking about transition and all that it entails. So what's in a word? Whenever I go around to different classrooms within the community, I really like to talk about this because it may be something that's difficult to actually face some days. The word disability is a very broad term that can describe how a condition in one's life, either physically or mentally, can be challenging in some situations. For some, this means it's challenging in social situations, while in others it may be physical. Some people are born with a disability, and others might acquire their disability later in life. For some of you, this word may cause you some discomfort, and it may be difficult to talk about because it seems like it may set you apart from other peers. But the truth of it is, it's just a challenge that you have to strategize to overcome in different situations and obstacles throughout your life. All students have challenges in their life, and everyone has gifts, talents, and abilities, and they all have their own difficulties because we're all different. And so really the trick of it is to find what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and to move forward in that way.
hello everybody, and welcome to Name That Celebrity. In this game, it's your job to guess the name of a famous celebrity as we slowly give you clues to their secret identity. Get ready, because here comes the first clue. This actress went through lockup therapy, and now, with daily meds, she's become a successful author. She was quoted saying, "I outlasted my problems. I am mentally ill. I can say that. I am not ashamed of that. I survived that. I'm still surviving it, but bring it on. Better me than you. Your last hint is she was an actress in the first 3 original Star Wars movies. If you guessed Carrie Fisher, you are correct. Carrie Fisher played Princess Leia in Star Wars and is also bipolar. This famous actress says that when she was growing up, she remembers being called dumb and stupid because she had a lot of difficulty reading. This woman has a successful film career and television career despite her dyslexia. She was the star of the movie Sister Act and a voice in Toy Story 3. She is currently a co-host on the show The View. If you guessed Whoopi Goldberg, you are correct. This famous athlete says teachers would complain about his restless behavior in the classroom, including his inability to sit still, focus, and complete work. At the age of 9, he was officially diagnosed with ADHD. But at the age of 24, he had won 14 gold medals, 8 in Beijing. He is considered one of the best swimmers in the world. If you guessed Michael Phelps, you are correct. Oh, it looks like it's time for our bonus round. In this round, we're going to show you a picture of a famous person and their accomplishments. Then you have to guess what their disability might be. Eric Weinmeier once said, "Mountains are the most powerful places on earth, demanding the utmost respect from humans. But we enter a far more dangerous territory when a few chosen experts decide who belongs on them and who doesn't. Perhaps this is a decision best left to the mountain gods." Eric is an accomplished climber, and in 2001 he reached the summit of Mount Everest. In addition to climbing, Eric is an acrobatic skydiver, marathon runner, and long-distance biker. Can you guess what his disability might be? If you said Eric is blind, then you are correct. Now it's time for the final round. For double points, name the celebrity. This famous actor once said, "I had to train myself to focus my attention. I became very visual and learned how to create mental images in order to comprehend what I read." He has been nominated for 3 Academy Awards. He was the star of movies like Days of Thunder, Minority Report, and Mission Impossible. If you guessed Tom Cruise, you are correct. Tom is a huge action star who just happens to also be dyslexic. Well, that's all the time we have here on Name That Celebrity. Before you go, I want you to remember 3 important things. First, always be persistent in pursuing your goals. Second, have a great attitude about who you are. And 3, everybody in life is going to run across challenges. They're there to help you discover what you truly want to be and who you truly are. Never let anything stop you from pursuing your goals.
What do all these people have in common? Think about that for a second. I think that it's pretty safe to say that they were persistent in pursuing their dream. They had a great attitude about where they could go. They believed in themselves, maybe even when no one else did. And I'm sure that they had people who were their true friends who helped them along the way. And you can think about, what else might you add to this list? Understanding that all people have difficulty with something is key. And understanding who you are and what you're good at is also important. I personally know that I could never be a doctor or a nurse, for example, because I faint at the sight of blood. You'll never see me watching the Surgery Channel. So in each experience you have, you will come to find things that you know you don't like, and you'll find challenges that you have to work your way through. It's all part of discovering what you want to do and not letting anything hold you back from your goals.
Self-advocacy is extremely important because without it, you'll never really be able to get very far in life because no one's going to advocate for you really in life. You have to communicate your feelings and how you feel to what is going on around you.
I'm really for self-advocacy. You need to advocate for yourself because if something's not going right for you and you don't talk about it, nothing will get done.
Self-advocacy is really important because if you don't advocate for yourself in a transition program or anything else in life, you won't get what you want.
And it's basically self-determination. Decisions should be made from you because you know yourself best, and being able to communicate that in a respectful way in order to get what you need is very important, not only just for youth with disabilities, but for everybody. This is a life skill for everybody across the board that will help you throughout your entire life. So why is it important? Being able to recognize strengths and challenges within you. Why does this matter to you? It allows you to communicate this with others when needed. And how does this tie into your IEP meetings? I always ask every class I go to, how many people go to their IEP meetings? And I love to see a classroom full of hands raised. But I know it can be a little intimidating, but it's really important as well, because the more you practice recognizing your strengths and speaking with people about what you're good at and what you want in the classroom, the more the better. You guys, why don't you describe your disability in your own words? If you're unsure, you can speak with your teacher now or later, it doesn't matter. Just write down some things that may affect you in the classroom. You know, how do you learn best? Are you a visual learner? Do you need to take notes? Do you need help taking notes? Do you need to sit up in the front of the classroom because you're easily distracted? Things like that. So in transition, okay, transition meaning what's your life going to look like beyond high school? I'm sure that you all have ideas about what your life's going to be like, where you're going to live, maybe a job that you might be interested in doing, or a career, maybe even college or tech school. And then in the next few slides, I'm going to get a little technical on you guys, but I think in broad strokes, so that you can kind of get an idea of, you know, the reality of like the laws and how they're really important. So we're going to talk about disability and what it means to be an adult with a disability in the law's eyes, and then how it might be different getting services now versus when you're an adult, and then how your IEP does factor into all of this. Again, your IEP helps you strengthen those self-advocacy skills, being able to speak for yourself throughout life. So here's one of my most feared slides. Don't panic. I'm not going to ask you to memorize any of this. I'm just going to read a couple things for you all, and I'm going to be using the 411 guide. Real simply put, there's one big law that provides supports and services for students with disabilities, kindergarten through 12th grade. It's like a one-size-fits-all. And then once you exit high school, the K through 12 law is IDEA. That's the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. You can just know it as IDEA. So IDEA is for K through 12. Then, once you exit the high school system, there's the ADA. It's a lot of acronyms, I know. The Americans with Disabilities Act. It's like for adults. And then also the Rehabilitation Act, which I'll refer to as Section 504 of the Rehab Act specifically. So just keep that in mind. It switches. Disability is defined one way for students up through 12th grade, and in a different way for individuals in post-secondary education. When I say post-secondary, I mean college or tech school, and the work world. The IDEA defines disability for young people up through 12th grade. In addition, the IDEA mandates that young people with disabilities are entitled to a free, appropriate public education. So, hence, your IEP and what we're doing here now, and the accommodations that you receive in the classroom. Meaning, you know, the services and supports that are provided at no cost. While you are in school, a team of people works on your behalf to make sure that you receive the most appropriate education. At least once a year, this team gets together to make sure that you are showing progress, and then to amend any of the IEP goals as well. An IEP stands for an Individualized Education Program. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. And a set of personal goals and objectives is developed for the next school year based on the meeting's conversation and your plans for the future, aka transition. However, after high school, the only way you will receive the accommodations you might need is to ask for them yourself, which is why I talk about self-advocacy and why it's so important to practice that in your IEP meetings or practice that at home, practice that with friends. This is why we're making such a big deal about being self-determined. If you received supports in high school, it's probably due to family members or professionals making decisions based on laws around the IDEA, and you didn't need to request the supports. But being part of that is really important. The focus remains on your disability and what the best educational program should be based on your strengths and needs. Then, when you shift out of high school, remember we go to a different law, which is the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. When you graduate from public high school, the way you are defined as a person with a disability changes in the eyes of the law, as do these laws that protect you and provide for the accommodations you may need to be successful in post-secondary institutions, college, or in the workplace. While IDEA is the law that seemed to protect you while you were in school, other laws such as the ADA and Section 504 of the Rehab Act protect you when you exit school and enter college, adult education, and the working world. Let's see, what else? So, just stressing asking for accommodations versus these services being brought to you, which is important because in college you're going to need to ask for it. In the workplace you may need to, you may not to as well, depending on what you may need. So, what does all this law stuff mean anyway? Well, like with any law, it's there to protect you. So, meeting certain requirements to enter into this system. There are going to be different programs that are going to look at your age, and you're going to have to show documentation of your disability. That's really the twist, is in high school, you're given services. When you're out of high school, you have to have documentation showing that you do have a disability. That's just the different way that it works. So you should be able to disclose necessary information about yourself with the appropriate documentation. So keeping track of your documentation of your disability is really important because someday you may need it and sometimes you may never need it. So just remember that you may not need support or accommodations in some situations in college or in work, but don't forget that you can always ask for help, and I'm going to show you ways in which you can do that. There are supports that we're going to go through that will help you with this process. And these laws are there to help protect you from being discriminated against as well. Once you're 18 or once you exit high school, in the eyes of the law, you'll be seen as an adult, and you'll be required to be responsible, and you'll be looked upon to ask for services with proof of your disability. This is where the self-advocacy and determination skills come in. So once again, IDEA only goes up through high school, and then after that it's the ADA. When it comes to college, again, they can't deny you admission to their school just because you have a disability. And then with the employment services, the ADA protects you from not being hired strictly based on having a disability. You will be hired if you meet the requirements of the job, even if you have a disability. And then adult services, that's basically what we're talking about.
Where am I?
Hey, who are you?
Jason, System Technology Specialist. We work together.
Really?
Ah,
Then who's that?
who's...
Hey, Jonathan, what's up? Not much. You looking good. Hey, thanks.
Dude, this is weird. I gotta get out of here.
Jason. Jason.
Oh my god! I don't have a doll. What? Huh?
Were you sleeping?
No, well, yeah, it's just all that legal talk, you know, it's kind of boring.
Hey, you know, knowing your rights is important. Knowing that just because you have a disability doesn't mean you can be discriminated against gives you power.
You're right, Jonathan. I'm going to pay close attention to the rest of this video. And you should too.
So let's talk about college or tech school. You can go to a tech school, take all your generals there, plus it's a little bit cheaper. And if you want to go to a college, you can always transfer there, and they look at the GPA that you got in your tech school. So sometimes I have students who come to me and they say, my GPA is kind of bad, I don't think I can get into college, but I could go to like a community school. Well, if you need to go to community school, great. Work hard, make sure the GPA is up, and then you can transfer to a college, and you might have an easier time being accepted, and taking those generals, getting those out of the way, is also a cheaper option as well. A little stat for you guys, 48 out of the 50 fastest growing jobs in the U.S. require some type of education beyond high school. And people who have some training after high school make more money and have better opportunities for career advancement than those who have only a high school diploma. So keep that in mind, especially in today's economy. I think college is, really important if you can. There's financial aid options out there for you guys. When it comes to applying for colleges, you don't have to reveal your disability. It's not legal to have colleges ask for you to reveal your disability on an application, so don't worry about that. The Disability Services Office. I hope you all have heard about that. It's part of the law, again, that every college campus has an office. It may be known by a different name, but that it has an office that students can go to for student supports or to meet with a disability counselor, and you'll have to provide current documentation of your disability, once again, but they'll be able to work with you to show you what accommodations could be given to you in that college, specifically in the classroom and on the campus, depending on what you may need. Again, that IEP comes into play because those strategies that the school used in the classroom can be helpful when it comes to college. You may end up using some of the same strategies. So just keep that in mind. The different accommodations are a little bit different from high school. High school can give you a lot more than what college can. You can still have, note takers, and you can have extended test times, things like that. But it's really important to go and see what can be available to you, which may be a critical factor or it may not come into play. It depends on how you feel, what services you may need in college. Okay, I have a couple of services to consider. I'm not sure who you guys, if you've talked to vocational rehabilitation services, they usually start, I'm just going to refer to it as VRS. There's a VRS counselor for every school in the state of Minnesota, and they can actually start showing their services and what's available to students who may be eligible for services once you leave high school. But they start to really display what they can do about 2 years before you actually leave high school. And they'll work with you as soon as you leave high school. So if you haven't heard of a VRS counselor, and you think you may need services, you actually have to apply for these services. This is the difference now. When you exit high school, you're seen as an adult and you have to apply to see if you meet the requirements for some services. All right, and then workforce centers too. There's workforce centers all over the state of Minnesota, and you can go visit your local workforce center. Some folks think that it's just for people who've lost their jobs or vets, but it's actually for youth as well. They provide a lot of services where you can work with them and say, this is what I would prefer, this is what I'm qualified in. Maybe there's a job opening that you guys have heard of, and you can fill out some career assessments, some paperwork. They even have classes on helping you fill out your resume, and they have a whole computer lab in there where they can help direct you to different resources in your community to help connect you to find what you're searching for. So if you want to, you can check out more info at this website listed below, and I'd highly recommend it. Just a couple of resources for you guys to consider. I just have some online resources for you guys to check out.